Hi, my name is Joseph Cassidy. I'm the news editor of The Saint, and we're interviewing today Taryn O'Connor, who's standing to be Director of Events and Services this year in the Student Association elections. Hi, Taryn.
Hi.
Okay, so why do you want to be Director of Events and Services?
It's so funny. It's always like the obvious question.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest to answer because like you get so deep into the details. But I think if I had to say where it kind of started and how it launched a lot of the things that I would like to do with it, it would be that I'm the president of the Just So Society, which is the musical theater society here, and I'm the Glitter Ball community this year for St. LGBT. And I also participate I'm a cast member in the St. Andrews Review, which we're not an affiliated group, but we've still worked in the union spaces. And I think that a lot of the things that we hear in productions in St. Andrews is that we have the talent and we have the dedication and the passion and the people, but not always the resources. And with this, obviously, with like the beautifully new redeveloped space, I think that we do have those resources, and I'm not sure that we're utilizing them the way that we absolutely could be for students and innovating to bring in better events that allow us to facilitate more student events in different ways in the spaces that we have. So I think going through production and being a director, I've directed this, my On the Rock show will be my fourth musical here. Getting to see a lot of those spaces and a lot of those interactions really made me want to do it because you want to be able to bring that to students and give them the opportunities to put on the most successful and creative events that they can. So yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned like your experience that you're president of Just So Society, you said you're Glitter Ball convener. So obviously that would be the next thing. So what experience do you have, and how do you think this would prepare you for your job as Director of Mental Services?
Yeah. So when I was a second year, I directed my first musical in St. Andrews. I've worked in the Baron, now the Buyer. I worked in the old venue one, and from a comedy standpoint, I've also seen the stage space. And I think that the elements that go into production are so detailed on some level, which is weird. It's weird to say. There's so many small things, and nothing's ever allowed to be left behind, and you never ever want to leave anything behind. And through that, it's allowed me to meet so many, like Just So has really been like the base. It's allowed me to meet so many people who are so interested in like the different events we do, who put on the different events here, and who get to think outside the box about the events that we put on and what really makes like a union and a society event, which I think is really important. And then through that, I've gotten to meet a lot of the past Joazes and Dastas who have been so like monumentally helpful in everything that we've done, and being able to have that opportunity to like give back and be like a support system for students, and also to make sure that they're having the best experience of the union. Because I think, I don't know, it's kind of cheesy, but I do think that a lot of my best memories and the times where I've been the most stressed and it's been most helpful have been here with a lot of the SABs and getting help with productions for Glitter Ball, for different events that I've done. And so I think that, I think I changed the question a little, but I think that my experience in production is really grounded me in such a way that I know what goes into it, I know the stresses that are behind it, I know a lot of the timing issues that need to be accounted for, and so I think that it leads you into having someone who you can go to and say, hi, I want to do this and I'm kind of confused, and they can say, cool, don't worry, I've got you, and together we can make it happen.
So yeah, you feel like you know how to put on an event and organise something? Yeah,
absolutely. I've worked, so in St. Andrews, again, like I've worked with a lot of the different university bodies as well as outside businesses, but also just personally I work as an artistic assistant, and so basically like an artistic administration assistant. So what I'm used to doing is calling, booking acts, booking gigs, and seeing how those things work, not only collectively in like a season in terms of like when you put them on and to whom you market and target the events, but making sure that there's allowances. You have to have allowances for the unknown are such an incredible thing that you have to be able to have. But yeah, so I think that production is such a big thing for events. It's also nice because it means that being with students, you see what students buy tickets to, so you see what they like, you see what they don't, you see on some level things they want to see more of, and what the St. Andrews demographic really likes in an event, which is good.
One of the big things is because you've given your experience, you as Glitter Ball convener, you've given your experience as president of the Just So Society. Well, obviously, do you have any experience of like working with people within the union? Because obviously, as a SAB, that's what you would do. You'd work within the union. Do you feel like you have the know-how, the ability? Do you think you feel you're able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so for example, anything on, or everything rather, on my manifesto, I have already come in and spoken to Tony and Jillian about. Jillian manages all the accounts, and Tony, who's our commercial manager. And so I've already had like the ability to go in and be like, I don't want to say anything, and be like, we're gonna do this, and we can't do this if it's not already feasible.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I do think that I know the people required in the union. I've had a really fortunate relationship with a lot of the SABs in the past. A lot of them have been really close friends of mine who've gone on to do it. So I've gotten to see certain elements of almost every single SAB position. I know quite a few of the candidates this year, and multiple of them in multiple respects. We've worked together before in the past and have only achieved really successful things. So I actually think it would be really exciting to get to work with so many of the people on these potential future SAB this potential future SAB team, because I do think that we could really work together to make some really cool things happen. I think I think the dynamic has the potential to be really, really powerful, which I think is really cool.
Do you want to just give us a brief rundown of your ideas that you'd like to implement as Director of Events Services?
Yeah, I think that the things I want to do fall under a couple different blankets. So I think they kind of go into external events, union events, and how we work with our student user groups, and that kind of just general role of being a SAB. As far as external events are concerned, they're an incredible opportunity because we get to bring things into St. Andrews that we don't normally get to see in St. Andrews. And while our capacity for things like DJ events and everything are phenomenal, to get more live acts and to get bigger name live acts, we have to increase capacity so that we're not increasing ticket prices and so that students can still afford to see it. Having a good relationship with the university is so key, and so it would be me working with whomever the president is, but the two of us going in and trying to leverage for university spaces and getting us in spaces like Younger Hall or like the Bayer Theater really allow us to bring in bigger name acts because we can fill out those houses. And it's also great because we get to have more St. Andrews students see it, which is kind of the great part about larger capacities.
You spoke about feasibility earlier. That was one thing I was going to ask about with regards to external events and putting things on like the Bayer and Younger Hall. Like, so is that feasible? Do you feel that you'll be able to negotiate to get events on in Younger Hall and the Bayer Theatre?
Yeah, it is about the negotiation. It's about the negotiation, and often it's about the act itself. But the university really likes to take care of the union, which is awesome. And I think that if we find the right act, they've been open to it in the past. It comes down to those factors that are, is the act available on the dates that we want that are open in both spaces? From those things financially, are we using union bars? Ideally, obviously, we would love to. Are bars even allowed in that situation? Is the ticket price still allowed to, are we splitting ticket prices? And if so, are we splitting overheads? Whose cost is covered in what capacity? But the nice thing about the Students' Union is, while those external events generate a lot of income, what's nice about them is we can afford to then spend on them because the income that's coming in is going into making all of your events better as students. And so yeah, I definitely think it's a feasible thing. What it does require is working with residential business services and the university just to make sure that all of the timing lines up, which is a lot of the best of it. It's just about making sure that the timing ends up. But I definitely think it's feasible.
So another thing you spoke about in your manifesto is this idea of getting a more diverse range of events to appeal to a wider range of students. Now, obviously you're not the first DOES candidate in history to say something like that, so how would you differ from all the past DOES that have said that kind of thing?
Well, I actually think this Freshers Week was really unique in a way that kind of taught us a lot in contrast to different weeks that we've seen, in that this week we mostly had club nights. And I think that while club nights, obviously, they're a lot of fun, you get a decent act in, everyone likes to come out and go. I think the potential to have bigger names for things like a comedy act, bigger live acts, diving into theater a little bit. I think that the Fringe is such an incredible space. It's such an incredible space to scout acts. Sorry, I can't talk. And I think having it happen just before our Freshers Week actually makes it a really excellent place to go find smaller things that can fit in our spaces that are just as high in quality. You get a lot of Cambridge Footlight acts. I've been to the Fringe. I went with a review, yay. And you do see a lot of these acts that go to get touring gigs. And because we are so close to Edinburgh, we absolutely have the ability to bring them here from there. So I think diversifying in that way, going and seeing new stuff and trying to bring it in are definitely things that we can do. I also think that in terms of utilizing students in a situation like Freshers Week, I think reaching out to student societies earlier, before this year is out, and saying hi, these are the time slots that we have available, here are the days we have available, do you want to do something? And working with them will also allow us to create this range of events that shows not only what externally we can bring in, but how unique our different societies and affiliated groups are. And it really shows their personality and their creativity and what they want to do. And so inherently, when you've got 3 different societies that have their specific focus, doing an event that shows that off, you're going to show more passion to a lot of the students coming in, and they're going to find a lot more of the opportunities that they get in the union.
That is, reaching out societies is actually something I wanted to speak to you about, because one of the things there was obviously the petition earlier in the year by the Rock Society, who felt that, there was, the allegations were sort of confused, some
I was just saying, I'm not sure I knew about it. So
one of the allegations was that their room booking was cancelled, but the sort of general theme of the petition was they didn't feel that they felt some societies were being privileged over others within the union. So how would you reach out to, say, smaller societies who don't usually get as much attention from the union?
I think it's important to reach out to smaller societies. Just so mighty though we are, we don't have the largest membership capacity of a lot of societies, and I think some of our smaller societies have, the reason they still exist is because people are so dedicated to making them exist, and so committed to the things that they are putting on and that they are doing for their other society members. I think that's really important. I think that, obviously, as I said, you have the tools. It'd be working with the DASDA, because obviously the DASDA is in charge of societies, but getting the tools to have all of the contact info, reaching out to those groups, reaching out to student association projects like On the Rocks, which obviously puts on phenomenal events every single year, and they usually do a semester 1 event, things like that, and making sure that we have all of the groups that are reaching these students. I think smaller societies are absolutely important. I think room bookings this year in general, and I say that as a president of a society who sometimes you're like, come on guys, please. I think that with the first time with a fully redeveloped space, they're still working out some of the kinks. And I think that next year a big part of the SAB's interaction with the permanent staff and with our societies will be in trying to make sure that calendar bookings are done in such a way where rooms aren't double booked. Block bookings only extend to things like a certain time, so that if you come up with an event idea in week 3, you don't have to be like, oh, we can never do it because at the beginning of the year, every Thursday night was blocked. And so it's about making sure that there is quality in the system of how it's done. I think that the online room booking is such a good idea, but it's about working out those kinks and making sure that it's done in the most effective way so societies don't feel ignored. Because that's something that, normally societies are allotted up to, I believe it's 6 hours in union spaces, and it's about making sure that as many societies as possible do get that access to those spaces.
One of the other things you spoke about in your manifesto was sort of shaking things up in the union bar a little bit, and making things different in terms of strength, just almost at a micro level, just changing things and making things more appealing to students. So do you want to sort of walk us through those plans for just an average night out, under your reign as director of services? Sure,
so a couple of the things, my thing is that the union should always be the place where you feel comfortable coming in, getting a drink, doing a lab, and finding some of your friends. That's what it was for me in my first year, and it was the best because it meant you never had to worry. You always had that staple. And I think that redevelopment, the time that it took on some level, allowed people to go out and find other places, which totally makes sense. Obviously, I love a lot of other places in town as well. But I think that the union should still be that staple, and I think that other unions are doing things that draw in on not only slower nights, but just more consistently. So there is something we are legally allowed to change, or if we change drink prices, we legally have to do it for 72 hours. What's nice about that is it allows us to offer drink promotions on slower nights, or even on nights that we're like, oh, we're dedicated to these events, we're not sure they're getting the reach that they deserve, so we'll have the ability to do things, hopefully, where for, when you pay entry into 601, you could do something like have £1 bombs all night, or £1 drinks all night. And the others is working with Tony and the bar staff to really get feedback about how each bar with its own personality is serving different students. And something that I think could go over really well is the fact is, when you go up to a bar, sometimes queuing can be not an issue, but I think it's an issue for anyone who's just like, oh, I want to please take my money. And so a lot of places around town and other unions do fish bowls and pitchers, which obviously lovely. It's an easy thing. A lot of times they're more affordable. You can share it with more people, and then one person can go up and get drinks for their table. And it makes it nice because you're spending a lot less time queuing and a lot more time in the space, having fun, paying attention to the events and the acts. And so it's small implementations like that at first that I think will really be helpful in making sure that students know that they can come here, that it's not, there's no stress. It's a stress-free time where you can come out, have some fun with your friends, no matter what night it is, which I think is really important.
So you said that's sort of the smaller things to start off with. Is there any sort of bigger things you'd like to see happen within the union bars, or just on normal nights out?
Well, I think if I had to say that there was something that I would love to see. Well, it's what we're hoping. What eventually I would love to do is bringing back more themed events. I think that one of the things with St. Andrews students is they really like something that's unique. They like something that you can only go to every once in a while. They like a good one-off as far as events are concerned. And so I really think that having the ability to do more themed events means that you're attracting different crowds, but crowds that will hopefully come, and you still want that consistent base, because you don't just want to move people like from the bar to the club, because then who's in the bar? Like, you're just switching empty spaces. But if we can start offering deals like these, then a couple nights a week you have more people coming for either just the bar atmosphere into these themed events that you're still trying to try out and still get a feel for and see what works and what doesn't. And additionally, people who are like, die hard, I'm coming for this event and I'm coming every time it's done once a month, hopefully can still bring friends that will then come, and if they love it, filter back into the bar and be like, oh, well, why wouldn't I if we're waiting, or like, if not everyone's here yet, we'll grab a picture and we'll sit down and we'll wait for somebody. So I think it's just about making sure that there's something that can touch every group, and that we're making sure that on our like full nights here, you can meet new people, hang out with your friends, and that it still feels like that very student home and that student home space. I think is important.
So, yeah, I mean, we've sort of gone through sort of most of your manifesto and things like that. So is there any sort of, do you have like a final pitch to students about why they should vote for you as Director of Events and Services?
Oh my gosh. Some of them were like, I want to do it. I think for me, it's one of the really nice things about DOES in this capacity is, and it's any SAB, but DOES has the ability on some level to want to see students succeed in this space more than anybody else. And so it's about having a DOES that you can come to and be like, hi, I've got this idea. Right now it's a little half-baked, but I think it could be great. And about having to sit down with you and be like, all right, we're going to figure it out. And I really think that a lot of my experience has been in figuring it out. So if I haven't learned from my mistakes, someone should. And we should give students the opportunity to give the most of themselves. And if they want to do it in this space, and they should want to do it in this space, we should make it a place where they can come and be like, hey, I want to do this. I'm not really sure how, but I know that the people here will support me, and I know that they'll publicize me, and I know that they will do whatever it takes to make sure that people see the thing that I do and the thing that me and my friends made. And I think that's really important. And I also want to bring some stuff in so that we can be like, hey, it's not always about you. You can sit down and watch too, which will be really nice. So I guess that's, I would just want to support everybody, I guess, which is kind of weird and cheesy, but that would be my thing, I guess. But thank you so much. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Taryn, for speaking to us, and thanks for everyone for watching. Make sure to check out the rest of our interviews with all the sabbatical candidates online or our YouTube channel.
A society is way too small. Like, obviously it'd be hard for them to organise an event. Maybe I can clump up a few societies together, have them sit in and come up with an idea that they can bring to me, and then I can organise that event for them.